Hey there, Capricorn. This is an astrological new year reading taking you from March the 20th, that's the equinox in 2026, right the way through to the March equinox in 2027. How you doing? So this is quite an ambitious reading to do, to capture all of the energies in the year ahead in a meaningful way for you, to give you a sense of clarity about the path that you're taking. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to break it down into some of the slower moving planets, talk about those and the nodes, because they're going to be answering quite a few key questions, in terms of where your focus is changing, how you're expanding into well-being, where you're innovating, and also where you're surrendering. After that, I'm also going to be talking about 4 pretty important times that I think are really defining moments in this year ahead. So stay tuned for that as well. So this, I'm going to start with the nodes, and I'm going to start there. Oh, actually, before I start, just want to also let you know that this is an ascendant forecast. So it's for you as a Capricorn ascendant person or someone with Capricorn rising sign. That's what you might call it. But I'm using a whole sign model to deliver this. If you're new to astrology and you just know that you're a Capricorn rising, that's all you need to know. But if, for instance, you calculate your chart using Placidus, and when you look at your chart, you see you've got Capricorn and also the symbol for Aquarius in your first house, then that's a clue to you to also listen to the Aquarian forecast. Anyway, let's get going. So to start this story, I just want to kind of talk about where you have been. The North Node went into the sign of Pisces at the beginning of 2025, and it's been really emphasizing everything to do with where you belong, and versus where you'd like to belong and where you don't belong. Like the South Node in the 9th house that you've been experiencing over the last year has really shown you that you have a tendency to want to escape. The moment things feel heavy anywhere, you're just like, maybe I should be over there. Maybe I should be doing that over there. Over there, people are higher minded, or whatever word that you might put in that place. And, when it comes to being at home in your normal environment, the real learning is actually everything is around you. You might look around your community and think, oh, it's just full of small-minded people, or oh, it's so pedestrian here. It really doesn't represent my vibration, my energy. And yet, actually, what the North Node has been telling you is when you spend time in your local community, you'll find that there are your people around you. It's not a huge vacuum. You're not out of place necessarily, but actually you're exactly where you need to be, where you're meant to be. And so I really do think that part of the learning over this last year has been realizing that and not needing to escape off, like run away and suddenly feel a little bit more amused and excited by things that are very different. I really feel that there's a sense of freshness and newness with what's right in front of you, which is great. That's going to really help you. You feel like there's a sense of belonging. Now that's going to continue for a little while longer, but around July 26th, the North Node is going to be heading into your second house, into the sign of Aquarius, and the South Node is going to be going to the 8th. And then your attentions, it's funny to say that because Capricorns tend to be quite attentive to money and how money flows. But your attention is going to go into the second house, which is all about your internal value and also the money that comes in. And how you link the two. So, for instance, if you've got this belief that I know I'm a valuable person because I can charge 5,000 euros or dollars an hour or something, that could really have a strong meaning. But then if you find yourself earning like $1 an hour, or, you would, and you made the same meaning, my value is based on how much money I earn. That's a shocking a shocking realization. Now, I don't suppose you're going to be at either end of that necessarily, but the point being is where our worth as a person and our value is linked to what we're earning, it can really cause problems. And so I think with the North Node coming into second house, what you're learning is to separate them because it's in the separation actually that it all comes back together again. But when you focus it not from what I'm earning is bringing me my value as a human, but when you bring yourself to realize that you have value, intrinsic value as a human, that's when people want to pay you more. So that's where your learning is going to be. If you're more focused on the earning of it and not the being of it, you'll find that as the North Node comes in, it's going to encourage you. There'll be situations that crop up in your life where you have to value yourself first. And, in the valuing of yourself completely saying, I know this is what I bring the world. I know I absolutely have a gift, really fully appreciating yourself. That's when the deservability, the lovability, that kind of ability to draw money and resources and support to you is going to come in. So it's going to be interesting. That's where the North Node's heading. Now, on the other side of the chart, the South Node's coming into the 8th. It's reminding you that actually, even though you're so worried about what you're bringing in, there's always going to be resources around you coming from other people. And, when you think your entire value is just based on what you do, you're cutting off a supply to other people. You're cutting off a supply to maybe things that have come ancestrally to you, that come through marriage to you, and come through friendship to you. And, when you only consider yourself in a one sort of dimension way, you're just absolutely cutting off the supply. So I really feel that this nodal position is here to help you. It's really it's here to connect you to lots of different modes of value and to realize your true value. It's also, I think, going to remind you of all the things you've course corrected on, anywhere where somebody has said, oh, Capricorn, you're so unreliable, or you're so boring, or you're so this, or you're so that, or you're not my favorite child. Hopefully nobody heard that. I really hope you didn't hear that. But all those things that you've taken on as part of your character because of some grumpy adult who didn't realize the impact of their words, there's a course correction coming in this year ahead, in terms of your value. And actually, I think that's what this whole year is really about in different ways. So let's look at Jupiter now. How is he helping you expand into greater well-being? Well, he starts the year in the 7th house, really helping you feel much more supported and uplifted with your partners. Now, that's across the board, even if you're not in a relationship. He's helping you to have some great times with people around you. You might find that there's more people coming into your midst, more people wanting to get to know you and to be friends with you. Jupiter here is really good. He's like a social lubricant. He's really helping you. Now, on the 29th of June, he's moving into Leo. And this is where you're encouraged to trust people more. Like, it's one thing to have friends that you can hang out with and, with the North Node going through the 3rd house, you'd have had lots of opportunities to hang out with people in your local environment and get to know people more and become part of the local furniture. So it's one thing to hang out with people, but actually what's coming in, Jupiter is helping you go deeper with people. So you might find some of the people around you are wanting more of you or wanting you in a specific way. Maybe some people are confiding in you more, or maybe you're needing to confide in somebody. But as Jupiter comes into the 8th, there's going to be a lot of deeper connection. And so you might find there's more opportunities to connect deeply, and you're refining your friendship list down a little bit. To me, it feels like an increase, an expansion within particular relationships, maybe just, one special partner. But Jupiter also has this inflammatory energy as well. He's not just expansion. Sounds great because it's positively framed, but if you were to think about the growth on a negative way, it's like inflammation. And you may well find that some of your connections with people it feels really inflamed with, that something really big comes up via somebody else. The 8th house is a place of birth and death and the cycle of life. It can also bring up big themes to do with blame, shame, guilt, and anger. Things that can break relationships and regenerate them as well. it really shows, you know, the sort of energy that we go to in our relationships where we're uncomfortable. My husband says first comes the luggage, you know, when you move in with someone, first comes the luggage, then comes the baggage. So this is Jupiter going in. He's very wise and funny. This is bringing the baggage side of life into your awareness. And that might sound, oh God, really? But actually, it's going to allow you to have much deeper relationships. It's going to be good. You know, so Jupiter's going to go right the way through to 27 degrees in Leo, and then he's going to go retrograde. But I've popped in this little point here because later on in the year, there's this very magical alignment, which I will be talking about shortly. Let's have a look at Saturn and Neptune. They're in the fourth house. They took a dip in last year, but now they're here in the fourth. Now, this is an interesting place. The fourth house is a place of your home and family. And as Saturn goes in the fourth house of home and family, I've just had him in my fourth house, actually. It's really important that you know what you've got, and you, I mean, you're going to be tasked to work on your security in a more substantial way. Wherever Saturn goes, he can sometimes restrict flow. And, you know, so sometimes you might find that like being at home in the family just feels, oh my God, I'm so exhausted. All I do is work, 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 work. When is there any let up from that? You might also find that, you know, it's a time when you need more money than you've actually got, you know, that things slow right down. And the weird thing is it just feels like a treadmill. And yet that's not actually the lesson. Like Saturn pays us lessons, you know, everywhere he goes, we're having to learn a lesson. And so when Saturn goes through your fourth, for the first short while of it, maybe the first year, you might find that the exhaustion of it can come up. Now, I don't mean to say that to say, oh, you're destined to exhaustion. No, absolutely not. But I want to give you a little piece of advice from someone that's just experienced it up close and personal. It can feel quite tiring. It feels like there's some burdens. You know, Saturn can be very burdening in the fourth house. And so my invitation to you is to recognize that Saturn is trying to slow you down at home. All of his energy is about slowing down and being more about longevity and less about the flights of fancy. He's getting you to reorder and to let go of everything that's unnecessary. And so he's really teaching you a deep lesson in shedding the skins that just aren't your home. So you might find that initially you're trying to bring in more money so that you can keep the plates spinning on top of your finger, or the ball, you know, spinning on your finger. But actually the ball can't go any faster if you tried, and it doesn't matter how many extra resources you put in, they're all just fixes. This is really getting you to fix your family and your home at a fundamental level. And that is to let go of the things that don't count. And so maybe one thing that you'll decide to do in this year ahead is to ditch everything that's meaningless. The habits you have that are meaningless, the purchases that you have, the gadgets that you've got that are meaningless, and just really focus on what counts. And it's funny because as Saturn progresses through here, the what counts is the thing that actually saves you, is the what counts. So if your relationship with people is what counts and it doesn't appear that you've got time, then you just, even though it doesn't seem possible, it does become possible, but it can't become possible when you're thinking at the level of, I can't let go of this because if I let go of this, this is all going to fail. When you think like that, then there are no solutions other than, well, you just need to whip yourself a bit harder there, don't you? And work harder, work harder, work harder, work harder. And that doesn't work. You know, it brings about collapse. This is another thing with Saturn in the fourth house and also Saturn in the sixth house, is if we get into the mindset of, I have to be more, I have to do more, I have to earn more, I have to, you know, you are prostrating yourself. You are putting yourself in that hamster wheel. And so feel free to do that, but you may well find that you get the Saturn collapse. I've had 2 bouts of illnesses and they've nearly always occurred. Well, the first one did occur in this Saturn in the fourth house era. And the one that could have occurred in this last time, my health hasn't been as good. I've had to really, really work at it because I refuse to let go of things. And so he just slows you down. The thing is, once Saturn sods off and goes into the 5th and the 6th and the 7th, he's starting to climb you back up. But, right down here, it's at the bottom. So my advice, don't just listen to me, but do a search on Saturn in the 4th. It's really getting you to discard what's not important and to focus on what is. And actually, when you start to completely ditch the unnecessary and focus on your absolute foundations, then things start to build back in. And so it's a really tough lesson, but worth paying attention to. And that's why I really recommend, like Saturn's also your ruling planet. Let's not forget that. So his impact is even stronger in your chart. So if you don't believe me or think, oh, bloody hell, she's so negative, like go to another site and say, what are the challenges? What are the gifts in Saturn in the 4th? And it is there to help you build up from a shell, build up from the absolute foundations. But you can't really do that until you sweep out the stuff that's not going to be necessary in your build. And I really think trust restores itself when you start to take back all the superfluous stuff. Now, Neptune's also here, really showing that there's a picture of unconditional love and unconditional forgiveness, and generosity and creativity, and it's bringing the soul back home. And so I do think with this, I've also had Neptune going through this part of my chart for the last 15 years. Neptune brings a lot of heart and soul and purpose into your home, which is really great, because the soul and unconditional love and healing and stuff is such an important part of everyone's lives, I think. But sometimes Neptune can bring up a feeling of confusion, like, where is my home? Am I in the right home? Is my home, like, what is life about? It really brings the soul issues into your home and lived experience. And so I think during this time, it could be very helpful for you to develop a spiritual practice at home, where you can go into appreciation about the home and family, but also where you kind of define yourself at home a little bit. Selflessness can absolutely come up during this time, and you can almost feel like your individuality like dissolve into the home and into the family. And if you do that, it could be quite a long road to establish who you are. Your identity could absolutely be dissolved during this time. This is actually quite a serious but also gifted position to have. And so my recommendations here is just, whilst, especially in this year ahead, is that you focus on what your gift to the home is and what your gift to the world is, but you find a way to protect who you are, so the who you are doesn't dissolve. So in many ways, this is not about the home or the family. This is actually about you. Like, what is your core gift? Because if you don't take it to your level, because obviously you're living in your body, if you don't take it to your level, you'll kind of dissipate and give in your home and your family, and you'll forget about yourself. You need to put yourself first and get your own clarity, your foundational clarity right. So, I mean, the 4th house is actually where things settle. It's where the dust settles. And so it's interesting. You've got these two very strong energies newly incarnated into the 4th house. So where the dust settles is, I would say, purpose and spiritual meaning, and how you can bring it to yourself, and not be distracted by things that aren't for you. So there is something here in like energy management, managing your energy beautifully. So it's quite a deep one. Now we've got Chiron. Chiron has been in the 4th house, and he can be quite tiring here. It wouldn't surprise me if in the last 7 years, gaslighting and abuse and all those kind of themes have come up. Maybe in your family lexicon, maybe people have, your partner has recognized what's gone on for them, and you've recognized what's happened for you in your childhood. And maybe, hopefully, you've done some healing with it as well. Wherever Chiron goes, there's a healing potential. Where Chiron's coming now is really, he's popping into Taurus on the 19th of June until the 18th of September, and then he's coming back here. But when he comes in here, he's going to heal your anywhere where you feel like you're not good enough to have fun. Anywhere where you feel like you've forgotten your fun, you've forgotten how to have fun, you've forgotten what you're passionate about, you've forgotten about what your juice is, what your jam is. Anywhere where you've fallen out of love with your kids. I know that sounds impossible, but anywhere where you feel like out of alignment with them, that's probably a better way of saying it, or out of alignment with your spouse, the very people that you feel most passionately about. So Chiron is going to come in here and help restore that feeling of passion. I think this is great. And as he goes into Taurus, he's bringing you into the outside space, nice food, nice light, nice comfort. You're meant to be comfortable with the people around you that you love. You're meant to be comfortable when you're doing the things that you're passionate about. So if you're passionate about throwing yourself off a bungee rope or something, that's not actually, I don't think that's going to be very healing, because it's not Taurian. The Taurian energy really wants to be passionate about having a massage or having reflexology, or like swimming in a comfortable ocean, or lying in a lovely pasture, being in the sun, and going for a country walk. That's a lot more the Taurian restoration. So you might find that the who am I question at my core is actually answered by, where do I feel more passionate right now? And how can I enjoy my passion as naturally as possible? So I think they may well go hand in hand. Suffice to say, it actually feels like quite a big year, because there's a lot going on here about your human value. Like, what is my gift, and what value am I bringing the world? Why am I here, I guess, is the underlying question. And these three planets and Pluto are absolutely beginning to answer that for you. Uranus is showing you where you're innovating your diary, innovating maybe your health life, your work routine, your day-to-day management. You might find that out is Monday to Friday 9 to 5, and in is working 3 days a week, or out is working Monday to Friday 9 to 5, and in is like working 3 or 4 hours a day every day of the week. You're going to be changing it up, switching it up, and really moving around and playing and innovating how you organize your life. Now, that might feel a bit disruptive at first. However, one size does not fit all. And that's what you're really realizing at the moment is, sometimes you have to use some innovation and some creativity, and just be a bit more original in who you are. And I think you're going to be using a lot more technology, and maybe like sharing it out within the family, communicating about it. Things are going to move really fast. It wouldn't surprise me if you have other people doing things for you at a much faster and quicker basis, including AI, with this in the 6th house. So I think that's a huge opportunity for you as well. Now, and in fact, you might be trialing a new way of life using technology. You might find that technology is actually helping to restore the balance at home as well. And so Pluto, he's in your 2nd house. Now, I think I mentioned him right at the start here. Anywhere where you think your value is based on how much money you're earning, you might find you get one of these Pluto slaps in the face. You might have already experienced this, actually. He's been here for 18 months already. He's really here to teach you that you build up from your personal sense of achievement and value first. You have to like yourself first. You have to believe that you're a good person, or that you have some intrinsic value first. So this is a real big nudge that you have to build your self-esteem first before you can think about earning more money. If you're thinking, oh, I need more money, I've got Saturn and Neptune in my 4th house and it looks intense, I need more money. If you just go at it like that, you might find that you're working harder and harder and harder and harder, but the money's not really coming in. Or you realize you're working really hard, but you can't sustain it until like retirement, you're like, what? There's no way I can work with this intensity. What am I going to do? The lesson here is to take it right back, like strip it right back and think, okay, what do you actually like doing? What is your gift? What is your intrinsic value here? Because when you love yourself and know yourself completely, that's when people will start to love and want to know you completely and start paying you for being you. So it's not to say you won't be working hard, but you won't be working hard on what you think the job is. You're going to define a job or a way of working that's going to satisfy you and allows you to share what you're here to share. And then the money will start to come in and organize around you. Again, there's technology that's going to most likely help you and help you organize yourself. But, the self-esteem part, with the 4th and 5th house here and the 2nd house, and then also the 8th house, like learning where you have taken on other people's thoughts and feelings about you, all of this is going to come together. So if I was to put a name on this process you're going through, it is raising your self-esteem. It is absolutely going to your core to see your true value and to reorient yourself on that value, not to just stay in the world and think, okay, this is my standard role. This is what I've always done. This is what I'll continue doing. I don't think that's a possibility anymore. I mean, sure, you could do it, but I don't think it's going to bring you the satisfaction anymore. I think there's something much deeper stirring and a much more soulful purpose that's emerging. So there's a few times in this year ahead that I want to comment on. The first one, the new moon in Aries, is happening in your 4th house. That's on 16th, 17th of April. It's really highlighting your home and family. And there's going to be 7 planets in your 4th house of home and family. And so anywhere where you've got things that are sort of exposing you at home, you want to sort of minimize any risks, but maybe just put your attention at home. Maybe around the week of that new moon, you really focus on you and your family and your home. You spring clean it. You spring clean it together. You realize what's superfluous and you let it go and you burn it all. You give it away, you celebrate somehow. And then around the time of the new moon, you decide, like, what is this home for and who do I feel like now? To me, it feels like a lot of transformation at home. Then soon after, we've got the full moon in your 1st house on the 29th of June. And that can be a time when you've been moving too fast, but you haven't allowed yourself to catch up. You might feel quite overwhelmed around that time. Again, interestingly, that I said spring clean, it would be very helpful if a good week before then, you look at all things that are superfluous, that no longer have any meaning or rhyme or reason in your life, and you just drop them, pass them to somebody else, give them away, stop the activity, let it go, so that around the time of the full moon, actually what is for you. See, around the time of the full moon, especially in the first, all matters to do with who you are going to come up. And so much better to focus on what is really you. So when the emotional energy is swirling around you around the time of the full moon, you can really see what's going on clearly and you're not distracted by other things. I think the level of insight that you're going to get from that is going to be really helpful. Then between the 29th and the 23rd of July, we've got Pluto, we've got Neptune, we've got Uranus and Jupiter, all at 4 degrees. In air and fire signs. They're all working very collaboratively together. So whatever you've learned about yourself in terms of what am I at my core, what am I at my purpose, what am I prepared to let go, and what new possibility am I inviting in about myself? That is such a good question to ask, because to me, it just feels like your entire value is coming really into clarity around this time. And then the last thing that I think is really interesting is what happens next. And that's around the 7th of January, 2027. There's a new moon in your sign. And to me, that's when it all starts to really, really make sense. It's not to say you're not going to get really good feelings and hits that, oh my God, I'm on my right path. I really do feel that you're going to get those. But I think by January of next year, you're going to be in such flow with it that it just feels like a really natural reset. And it's like everything integrates into who you are. So you can see it and be it and feel it. And everyone goes, oh my God, look, there's Capricorn over there. Wow, they're a different person now. I really love who they've become. So yeah, this is such a journey for you, Capricorn. Now, if you would like to work with me at a personal level, and really see how your personal birth chart aligns with this, then just get in touch. I've got a Calendly link just below in the show notes too. So all you have to do is book directly into my diary, just see the available dates and choose the one that works best for you. Just invite me to work with you. If you would like to have more forecasts from me, I do like a short 10, possibly 15-minute forecast Monday to Friday, covering the whole week. And that's in my free community on School. That's www.school, that's skool.com/Feel Good Astrology, where you can join my community, get access to my forecasts. And there's a hangout for everyone once a fortnight. There's loads of other stuff going on as well. In fact, I'm teaching astrology. We've been looking at signs, one sign at a time. We're coming into the houses soon as well. So there's loads of really great goodies there. So hopefully that's helpful to you. I hope you've enjoyed this forecast. I'm wishing you a beautiful year ahead. Lots of love. Bye for now.